Hi guys, Monday Night Mystery here. Today, I'm gonna explain a 2021 British science fiction movie called Settlers. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. If you have any recommendations or want particular video, please let me know in comment box below. The movie begins with a small family who lives in an outpost on Mars because Earth is no longer habitable. The 9-year-old daughter, Remmy, is seen observing constellations in the sky as her father and her mother Ilsa accompanies her. Living with no neighbors, no resources, and no communication nearby, the family has to grow their own vegetables and raise the one and only pig in order to survive. Curious about the outside world, Remmy attempts to explore the land. But Ilsa forbids her to move any further. The dad returns home, but with a worried face as something is happening outside. Remmy realizes that there are strangers nearby, but the father convinces her to stay calm. That night, she can't sleep and decides to sleep with her parents. Despite living alone on an uninhabited planet, they enjoy their quality time as a family, where the father states that they're very lucky to be given an opportunity to live in such a place, believing that someday Mars will be just like Earth. The next day, Remmy awakens and is shocked when she discovers a threatening note written on their kitchen window, telling them to leave the house. Not long after, Ilsa shows up with her father, who is already equipped with a rifle. He looks all around, but cannot find anybody. It seems like the parents are aware that they don't live alone there. He screams at the window, challenging the invaders to show up and fight him. Worried about her, the one and only pig, Remmy quietly walks toward the barn. Suddenly, two invaders appear, trying to kidnap the daughter, but the father manages to shoot down one of them and Ilsa stabs the other one with a knife. She brings Remmy with her and they take shelter in the house while the father hides behind the house's wall, trying to eliminate the last invader who is shooting from a distance. Ilsa helps the father locating the foe and he manages to shoot him down. Even though it's gonna be dark soon, the father reloads his weapon and leaves the house to eliminate the remaining invaders, leaving Remmy and Ilsa in fear. They lock all the doors and hide in a room while waiting for the father to return home. Not long after, they hear someone approaching the house and suddenly all the main lights are shut down. They have to spend the entire night in fear. The following morning, Ilsa, equipped herself with a knife, walks out from the hideout. Suddenly, a man, who introduces himself as Jerry, appears and threatens to shoot Ilsa if she does not comply. Turns out that he is the man who was shot by the father on the hill, but not killed since the bullet hit the leg. He reveals that the house belongs to his parents and his only intention is just only to reclaim his rightful home. Jerry offers them to stay, promising that he will protect Ilsa and her daughter, or they can just leave without being hurt. She brings her daughter out of the house to discuss with her. Despite Remmy begging in tears to Ilsa to leave, the mother explains that they will not survive in the outside world. Seeing Jerry on the hill, Ilsa sneaks into the house, grabs a knife, and attempts to kill him. However, he figures out the movement and manages to prevent her from killing him. Jerry makes a deal with her. If Ilsa can behave in the next 30 days for him to prove herself, he will hand over the gun to her and give her the chance to kill him. Leaving with no option, Ilsa has to accept the deal. After that, Jerry grants her request to bury the father, who was killed by Jerry during the gunfight the previous night. Remmy begins the 30 days countdown by drawing a bar on the window every day. Ilsa and Remmy slowly manage to accept reality and live with the existing situation. One day, the daughter climbs up on a container and secretly peeks at Jerry through the skylight, discovering a hidden underground storage where he keeps all his weapons. She then comes across his belongings, finding a gas mask and a drawing of a woman who was killed during the fight. Jerry manages to get the house back on its feet, fixing the broken pipeline so that the water can flow again. The next day, Ilsa finds a robot in the garage. It seems that the robot likes Remmy and they eventually become friends. She even names the robot Steve. Steve manages to cheer her up in her gloomy time while Ilsa slowly builds a relationship with her husband's killer. As they get closer, Ilsa reveals that they were initially welcomed by Jerry's parents to live there when they arrived at Mars. However, after figuring out that the family was from Earth, Jerry's dad attempts to shoot them. That's why they had to kill him and decided to occupy the house. Luckily, Jerry doesn't hold any grudges since he hates his parents. The next day, Jerry approaches Remmy, allowing her to keep the drawing she took away earlier. As time goes by, Remmy is speechless when she sees her mother slowly opens herself up to Jerry. The two eventually kiss in the net house. The daughter spots them and becomes very disappointed, thinking how her mom manages to share a kiss with her father's killer. In her grief, she packs up and attempts to flee from the house alone. Without a map, she randomly explores Mars. Suddenly, Steve shows up, but she drives it away while yelling her disappointment towards her mother. After a long walk, she comes across a transparent barrier, realizing that she has been living under the protection of an invisible wall and there is no way to leave this place. A few moments later, she spots a huge door, hoping that it will bring her to the other side of the place. Remy presses on a button to open the door. She advances into the dark cave as she hears Ilsa calling her from a distance, but she ignores her. The cave's door shuts by itself, leaving herself in a gloomy cave without any help. As she walks through the cave, suddenly the door from the other side of the place opens. Frightened, she tries to crawl back and faints. She eventually finds herself in the house as she awakens. Turns out that she was rescued by Jerry, who reveals that there is nothing outside the barrier. He tells her that she must be grateful to live in such a place. That night, Ilsa tries to comfort Remy, convincing her daughter that she loves her very much. The next day, they gather in a room where Ilsa plays the guitar besides Jerry. Remy recalls her old memories when they used to play guitar together with her father. She becomes emotional and runs away from the house in tears. She is furious with her mother, thinking that she has moved on from her husband. Finally, the 30 days are up. As promised, Jerry puts the gun on the table, offering her to kill him if she wants. Ilsa grabs the gun, pulls the trigger, and attempts to shoot him down. However, the gun is empty. Realizing that this is just a test and Jerry wants her to live with him, she runs back to the house and tries to commit suicide. Jerry rushes in to stop her, but he is too late. He comes out from the house, covered in blood and wounds, which makes Remy realize that her mother has died. As she tries to escape, he manages to outrun her and catches her, trying to calm her down and begging her to stay, which she reluctantly agrees to since she has no other option. Filled with hatred toward Jerry, she tries to keep her distance from him. As time goes by, Remy has eventually grown into a beautiful young woman and the pigs somehow manage to breed. She even learns how to shoot. As now they have abundant resources, Jerry informs Remy that he is going to the valley the following day and asks her permission to bring Steve with him. Feeling uncomfortable without her companion, she decides to follow him to the valley where Jerry is enjoying his time in a small lake. Before he goes away, he tells the girl to jump into the lake. Filled with curiosity, she eventually dives into the lake. Back at home, Jerry presents Remy a drawing of her deceased mother. She becomes emotional as soon as she sees the portrait. Jerry attempts to calm her down by kissing her, but she is shocked and immediately runs away. She locks herself in her room and he leaves the drawing at the door. The next day, Remy secretly plans to flee to the outside world. At the dinner, Jerry states his intention to continue building a romantic relationship with Remy, but she rejects him and will not accept him forever in her life. The man urges that the action must be done for the future of mankind, but she doesn't care. Later that night, Steve shows up to cheer her up and wants to play with her, but she prefers to be alone. Jerry discovers Remy's plan to leave the place and becomes furious, stating that she won't last for a day outside there. They engage in a fight and Jerry knocks her unconscious. Remy then wakes up, finding herself tied up in the bed. She tries to resist and tries to break free, but her effort is useless. He rides on her and attempts to do a sexual intercourse with her, claiming that it is to keep the existence of humans. Luckily, a wild Steve appears and shoots Jerry in the throat. Filled with anger, he chases after the robot and destroys it. This opportunity gives Remy enough time to break free. She equips herself with a rifle and approaches the dying Jerry. Fed up with all his bullshit, she shoots him to death. Since then, Remy lives alone in the house, slowly becoming frustrated because of her loneliness. Realizing that she is going crazy and needs company, she tries to fix Steve and prepares herself to explore the outside world by herself. Before leaving, she leaves Steve behind, ordering it to take care of the house while she is away. Wearing the mask, she once again visits the cave and this time manages to reach its exit door, discovering a land entirely filled with sand and dust. This is the story of the movie Settlers. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel's algorithm, and wait for the next Monday Night Mystery. And thank you.